Hey guys, Weaklings here, and today we're going to be doing a replay I've had recently with me playing Pure Frost, Headbanger playing Frost Shadow Shadow, Free Pains playing Nature Nature Nature, and then Becco playing Shadow Shadow Frost. So to start off, we see a Dread Charger, a Dryad, pretty typical, and then an Ice Guardian and Imperials, which are the opposite of typical. Usually most players don't even have Imperials in their deck, and Ice Guardian is an interesting start because its Ice Shield decays when it's away from buildings. And so we see the attack. The Imperials get their ability off just in time before they go to sleep. We see a Frostbite putting this Dryad to sleep. Should surely die. We see our Frost Mages being focused down by Nox Triggers, which is very bad. They die quickly. And I definitely could have saved these Frost Mages. The Imperials slowly march in. They're not really good at... They're not as good as you would think at attacking. Because yes, they have a ton of hit points, especially with their ability down. But because they're so slow, it's difficult for them to get to the offensive. Archers can just walk faster than they can, and they're gone. Nevertheless, we see multiple Ice Guardians push in, but once they get tier 2 and they have Ghost Spears, they just have so many medium counters that the Ice Guardians are gone. And I had some... Actually, these guys are still pretty healthy. We have Imperials. They need to get their ability down. I forget about it. Bad micro there. And we've got Ghost Spears versus Imperials. I'm betting the Ghost Spears will win because they deal basically 100%, 120% more damage than the Imperials, and of course they win with the support. So the attack has stalled, and our scores are about similar. And so we see a big attack, and it failed. Now we have to defend. So they get frozen, and then the Light Blade is used to try to defeat the Deep One. I decided not to use the ability, because I thought I could get some free damage and then use it. It turned out to be not true, and that cost me the Light Blade entirely. And it's just lost for free, 100 power gone. Master Archers, where are they from? Why did they even spawn them? Basically, they just die for free as well. So this is a very poor defense going on right now. Perhaps the worst part is that I go for tier 2 real fast. I am using Glacier Shell, which helps a lot. And so it's up to my ally Headbanger to save himself. And so he's able to kill this Deep One by using this Frenzied Nightcrawler. Meanwhile, I take tier 2 in a well, which is probably a death sentence against my ally if he did any better. But thankfully, Free Pains decided to not fight as well, and has gone for multiple wells up the side of the map. So similar to me, a mirror play, if you will. So I get a War Eagle out, they stall any kind of attack they had going, and the center is pretty much clear. I don't think there's enough to attack this, and that should be reflected pretty fast. So we see a Roots, and the small units will probably die. Meanwhile, I continue going up the side of the map, taking wells. Our ally is concerned about tier 2. And just like that, the attack is done. Dead. Dead. Okay, Mountaineer needs to get out of there. He really has no business being down there. We get a Sky Elf Templar to try to get rid of the War Eagle. But the heal just makes the Sky Elf Templar kind of die. So 80 to 100 power, you could argue it's not really worth it, although Surge of Lights are valuable later on in the game. So up the sides it's basically the same. The War Eagle is trying to be protected. We have another War Eagle, takes care of all the medium units. And we get a Lost Reaver, who takes care of the rest. Meanwhile, we see a Headbanger banging his head against some monuments, which is kind of a doomed attack, handled swiftly by Ghost Spears. We see a harvester down the center. Interesting, nasty. 110 power, 120 plus 50, so that's 170 power to kill nothing. Very, very bad trade. So we see a freeze to get rid of the harvester, and we see another war eagle come. And they try to focus the harvester, but they get oinked. So our ally comes in with Irish Knights, which are then promptly rooted. What can you do? You play against a nature player. So he's able to counter so much. The nature player is finally expanding his wells. One thing to note is that at this stage of the game, power becomes important. So if you look at me, I've got 7 wells. If you look at Beko, he's got 4. Free Pains also has 7, and Headbangers has 4. So we are even on power right now. And the problem is, Free Pains is going to take, actually Beko is going to take more wells while my ally is busy defending. So this will give us a disadvantage over time, which is unfortunate. But because his ally is going to take these wells, we're able to mount an excellent attack, which takes out a lot more than I thought it would. So we see another freeze on that guy, and I'm trying to get out of the Aura of Corruption as fast as I can. Master Archers are dead, but I got the War Eagles out. And dead. Boom. And that orb is gone. So he has to take... Was Beko saving for... Wow. So Beko was saving for tier 3, which was important right there. Nevertheless, I still have 7 wells, and this attack has done its course. It's basically dead now, and we should be pulling back, especially with this orb. Why would he do that? Why? 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 Whatever. So we got a War Eagle going. It's going to take out the Shadow Mage, and I believe it's going to go attack this well. Meanwhile, we got a dead Stormsinger right there. Dead on my screen. Gone. Got a Lost Reaver versus Ghost Spears. Yep, he finally noticed. And then a dead Shadow Mage. An alert for a Harvester. Harvester alerts. Actually kind of useful. And we got Lost Reaver versus Ghost Spears. Easy win. And I go tier 3. So, interesting, I don't have any units built up.
A power well is under attack.
So, notice that this guy's knocked back. That just canceled his ability. So this cost me basically 1,000 hit points on this well. As soon as this guy gets unfrozen, he's going to be able to kill that well. Which is a very poor issue. Very poor decision on my part. Now we have a core dredge coming up. I'm going to try to take out this well. And this is the first instance...
A power well has been destroyed.
Oh, yeah, you got that. Anyways, this is the first instance of Curse Orb being used. Unfortunately, it kind of failed because the ally of him has crowd controls. So, pretty poor. If this was a splash, however, you could go for the root and take out, for instance, say they do nature, fire. Go for a nature orb, take out their crowd controls, and it'd mess up their tier 2 as well. Very powerful. So that was an easy way to take out his tier 2. And now he's stuck at tier 1 trying to defend this, which is rather difficult. Meanwhile, we've got Beko taking my power and a drone attack, because Beko has also gone tier 3. So here we see another instance of failing to use Curse Orb. And so the reason this failed is I used it before, I used it after he used Curse Orb, or after he built a Fathom Lord. And so Root, that's about, how much power? 150? to kill my Cord Reg, which is a very good trade for him. But his ally did lose an orb. So up here, the orb falls, boom, dead. These guys are frenzied. So freeze was hyper effective. And we've got a drone attack going on. Interesting. Why? I don't know. Got another attack going on, which should fail. So nature is very good at stopping melee units from doing their job. It's annoying, but it's just kind of how it is. So I should see a freeze going, or not. Are you gonna freeze? Yes, cool. Freeze, and we've got that center attack going, which is pretty strong, needs some more attention. So I built a few units to defend it. I should use more shield buildings, to be honest. That's always an issue I have. No less. This thing should fall. Boom. And it's gone. But we see another harvester go up. Meanwhile down here it's a hot mess. But they're slowly... It's very iffy down there. You see a useless attack going on. Easily countered. Shouldn't have even done that. So they take down a well, but Headbanger has banged out some lost Vigils, which take out this ground-based attack of melee units super easily.
An ally requests
And we
your
got
attention.
a Harvester alert again, and a dead tremor on our
Your
screen.
forces are under attack.
Just ignore that. So we got free pains. I'm gonna try the last minute build an army thing again.
A power well
is
is under
interesting.
attack.
Perhaps that's a scavenger rush thing I've learned. Kind of funny how that works. So we have another core dredge going on, which will be interesting to see. So we take out his orb while he's trying to take out our building, and it's a dead harvester. And meanwhile, Headbanger is taking out the orb with his long-range lost vigils. So this is a multi-attack at the same time. And boom, that guy's dead. Nope. Come on, die. Okay. So we got a Glacier Shell up, which probably helps. And we got a dead Dread Charger on our screen. But we've got Beko going back to tier 3.
Your
So the
forces
core
are
dredge
under
is moving
attack.
in, but there is a lost Gregory right there. He gets the rut just in time to stop the lost Gregory. And a freeze. Meanwhile, the lost vigils are moving into the center, and the tremors should be moving out at any moment. I've built up another core dredge. So at this point, it's won. But why has it won? Was it because of Curse Orb? No. It's because we just outplayed them and they lost too many buildings to replace, even though they had such an advantage in power. So for instance, let's look at this case. So Headbanger has 4 wells. I have 5. Beko has 3. Now keep in mind, Beko lost this orb, this well, and this. So actually Beko really should have gone to take more wells as well this game. Free Pains also lost this well. He also lost this well. And he now has just as many wells as I do. Which he built even more wells. So they gained a significant power advantage. So at this stage, using things like Curse Orb doesn't really matter. And we see the attack going on to Free Pains keep continuing. What? He got oinked? Okay. Interesting. And we've got another attack, a Curse Orb on this guy. How much on Beko? So he could have spawned something if not Beko. Three Pains could have spawned something to defend, but it's difficult to say. So now I've got another attack going on. And I mean, it's just one, it's end game, it's not very interesting. What do we think about the interesting changes? Lost Vigils are a questionable choice. I mean, they're all dead already. So not like the most effective choice, but certainly worked in this game. Then we see actually a Church of Negation going
Your
up,
forces are under attack.
which is an annoying building, but certainly effective at defending. But Curse Orb. I think in this case, Curse Orb was not very effective. The reason I say this is that the opponents I was fighting were able to use crowd control despite whatever I did, because there was a tier 3 enemy with pure nature. And so I couldn't remove the orb that has all the crowd control on it. And really, to use Curse Orb, you want to target those crowd control orbs, or the odd orb in a splash. So for instance, with Fyre, Nature Fyre, for example, Dead Gregory, being able to target that nature orb would reduce a guy to being only able to build units like Gladiatrix, Scythe Fiends, and Skyfire Drakes, which are completely unable to handle a unit like a Core Dredge. And you lose all your stuff. What's going to happen here? You lose all your crowd controls. Why is he nasty though? That's stupid. Anyways, you lose all the crowd controls, which means your attack cannot be stopped. And just like for Frost Shadow Frost, or Shadow Frost Frost, there you go. By attacking that Shadow Orb, you take out critical units like Dark Elf Assassins. You take out Night Guards. You take out so many things by cursing that orb, and also taking out his tier 3. That's incredible for 20 seconds. So think of Curse Orb not as a Curse Well. Obviously Curse Well is going to take out a well instantly. It is useful. But Curse Orb is like casting a crowd control on your opponent. You need to use it so that it's effective at the time that you want to use it. And the game's over at this point, so I'll pause it. But use Curse Orb in situations where it would benefit you to limit the capability of your opponent. And that's what I've learned from this game. There wasn't very many situations where I could limit the capability of my opponent. And so it was kind of wasted. I mean, it's still nice to not fight tier 3 units from the player whose orb you are attacking. And the constant attacks kept the crowd controls to a minimum from the enemy team. And I look forward to being able to use this card in later replays. Also, one thing to note is that after the game, everyone on the enemy team told me they hate Curse Orb when I asked them what they thought of it. So keep in mind, people won't like playing with you if you use Curse Orb, just like Curse Well. Yeah. So thank you for watching this replay, and I hope you enjoyed this replay recap.